You ever have those days where you feel a bit disconnected? Kind of like you're going through the motions, just a little out of sync with yourself. Well, today we're going to explore a really powerful, natural way to tap into our own inner strength. Drawing inspiration from the work Rooted and Rising, we're heading on a journey back to that wild, fertile ground where our most authentic self is just waiting for us.
I just love this quote from Almika because it completely flips the script on what resilience means. We're so often told it's about being tough, like wearing this unbreakable suit of armor. But this idea is so different. It's more like the roots of a tree. They're flexible, they're alive, and they're pulling strength from somewhere deep and unseen. It's a living force, not some rigid wall we put up.
Okay, so where do you even begin a journey like this? It all starts with a really simple but honestly pretty profound step. Just recognizing when we feel that disconnect, and then simply accepting the invitation to reconnect with ourselves and the world.
Let's be real. The constant rush of modern life, the notifications, the deadlines, the go, 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 it can totally dull our senses and leave us feeling, well, uprooted. This whole journey is about getting back to that primal connection. It's about remembering that our truest self is already waiting for us, right there in the earth, ready to be found again through nature and a bit of creativity.
To really reconnect, we have to start at the very, very foundation. And we do that by learning the language of the soil. And yes, I mean, this is literally about getting our hands dirty to understand where resilience truly comes from. Now, this is a huge shift in perspective. We're not talking about just plain old dirt here. Soil is a living, breathing thing. It's this vibrant archive that holds the entire story of life itself: growth, decay, and then that endless cycle of renewal. When you look at it that way, it's not just stuff on the ground, it's a teacher.
And what's so cool is that the physical feeling of soil is this perfect mirror for our own spirit. On the one hand, you have that coarse grit, right? It reminds us of life's tough moments, the ones that polish us but don't shatter us. And at the same time, you have that soft, malleable earth, which reflects the tender vulnerability we all need for true resilience. It's about being able to yield without being broken.
Okay, so here's something you can literally try today. Find a little patch of earth and just take your shoes off. Really feel the ground under your feet. Breathe in that rich smell, and as you exhale, just picture all that tension, all that stress just flowing out of you and right into the ground. It is an incredibly powerful way to reconnect in just a few moments.
So, once we feel that connection, once we're grounded, we can start to channel it into something creative. The next step is moving from just feeling the earth to actually shaping it, using our hands to heal and express whatever is going on inside.
Working with clay is such an amazing way to do this. Think of it like a silent conversation between your hands and your heart. Every single pinch and pull can bring out feelings that words just can't seem to capture, and it transforms all that raw, messy emotion into something you can see and understand.
And hey, it's not just about clay. Imagine painting with colors that you've gathered yourself, directly from nature, from berries, different kinds of soil, leaves. When you do this, it's not just you making art. It becomes a co-creation with the planet itself. You're literally painting your story using the Earth's own palette.
And this incredible natural palette is everywhere. You've got vibrant crimsons from crushed berries, these beautiful grounding reds from ochre soil, 1,000 different shades of green from leaves, and those deep earthy tones from tree bark. Nature is just offering us this entire spectrum of colors to tell our stories with.
So, we've used the Earth's materials. Now let's draw inspiration from its patterns. We're going to look at the forest as a muse, as a way to understand our own life stories in a totally new light.
The forest teaches us that stories don't always have to be a straight line. I mean, our lives aren't really a simple beginning, middle, and end, are they? Just like the paths and roots in a forest, our own stories can spiral, they can loop back on themselves, they can get tangled and layered, and there's a real organic beauty in that complexity.
And this comparison here shows it so clearly. We're all used to that traditional, linear story. But the forest story? It's cyclical, it's intertwined, and it understands that growth and decay are two sides of the same coin. Honestly, it's a much more honest and, frankly, a more forgiving way to look at our own lives.
This means you can find your own story out there. Maybe for you, that towering oak tree represents your enduring strength, where those little wildflowers in a clearing could be about your ability to blossom even when things are tough. A fallen tree isn't a failure, it's a sign of an obstacle you've already overcome. The forest basically becomes a giant mirror for your own journey.
All right, let's bring this all together. We've grounded ourselves, we've created with our hands, and we found new ways to see our stories. The final step is to integrate all of this into a new way of living, and that is by embracing nature's rhythms.
Here's the big secret. Our inner worlds are just like the natural world. They are not meant to be static. They're always changing. And instead of fighting so hard for everything to stay the same, we can actually learn to flow with the natural cycles of our own energy, our creativity, and our emotions.
And the seasons map onto our lives so perfectly, don't they? There's a spring, a time for new ideas and that raw, vulnerable growth. Then there's summer, when creativity is just flourishing. Then comes autumn, a time for letting go of what we don't need anymore. And finally, winter, for that essential quiet rest and reflection. The key is, you need all of them.
You know, that letting go part can be really tough, but I'll make us words here capture it so beautifully. Shedding old habits or ways of thinking, it's not a loss, it's liberation. That's how we clear the ground and make it fertile for brand new things to grow in our lives.
So the ultimate takeaway from all of this is pretty simple. Change isn't the enemy. In fact, our ability to adapt and flow with change is our greatest source of strength. It's knowing deep down that every single ending, every autumn, every winter, it's always carrying the seeds of a new beginning.
This whole journey is really just a reminder that your roots are already there. They are deep and they are strong. So the real question, the one we'll leave you with, is this. Now that you're connected to them, what new story is waiting to rise up from within you?